Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys to California. Before I begin, give all praise to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledge it, Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives us more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past, in order to understand events that are currently happening on the earth, so we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Brethren, we're going to get a lot of enlightenment through the power of the Most High today. Going to get a lot of clarification as to why certain things have been happening the last few days. Most High is all about giving us that clarification so we can understand the times that we are in. It is true that we are definitely in the last hours, last days of this journey. And what you got to understand is that the Most High is not done testing us yet. I get tested, but you guys are also being tested. The Most High has been absolutely merciful with us. He's been wonderful with us, giving us all this knowledge and understanding. He's elevated us so much in the last couple of years. We get these other books, the Book of Mormon, get the the Northern Kingdom's records, get the, Southern Kingdom's records, get the other books as well. We're getting historical books and historical context and information. And we became his children, and we've been being fed by the Most High through the Holy Spirit constantly. But see, the Most High is going to test you, is going to test your heart as well. Are you going to trust in the Father, or are you going to run back to Egypt? At the first sign of trouble, are you going to run back to Egypt? You're going to run back to your oppressors. See, when our people were in the wilderness, once things got a little bit difficult, a little uncomfortable, many of them were murmuring and wanted to go back to the good old days of Egypt. Trust me, the same thing is going on right now. Oh, Big Judah mentions the word Kabbalah. And then some people go absolutely crazy. Now, as I've said to a couple of people I've spoken with, they say, you shouldn't be teaching that. Well, can you show me something that I've taught in the last few days that was totally against the Bible? Can you show me anything that I taught the last couple of days that was against the Most High and the things I've taught before? I'll wait. You're not going to find anything, because I haven't taught anything different. I have just used the Kabbalah to get some historical references and some historical information and just plug those puzzle pieces into the whole scenario. That's it. But there are some people who are very opportunistic and see a crack in the door and try to, swing the whole door open and make accusations against myself that are totally unfounded. And the thing is that the Most High is testing you too. Are you just going to listen to what someone says, like we used to do in the church? Or are you going to investigate it yourself? Did you yourself hear something that was satanic or something that was part of witchcraft? Did you yourself hear that? Did you co-sign on these accusations just because someone told you that? So see, the Most High is testing you too. Are you going to hear one thing and then turn right around and run right back to Egypt? Run right back to the church? Run right back to a man telling you what you can and can't do? What you can and can't read? The Most High has come to give us life more abundantly. He's broken the bonds of the church, where we don't have to depend on the Gentiles anymore, We don't have to get approval from them anymore. But are you going to trust the Most High when things get uncomfortable? Or are you going to run right back to Egypt? That is a question you have to answer for yourselves. Nothing has changed as far as what I've done from the beginning until now. I tell people all the time, do not just take what I say as the gospel. Go and study it for yourself. This is your personal journey. I have my personal journey. You have yours. You have a responsibility to study to show thyself approved. Not wait for someone to study for you and tell you what to do. So this little dust up wasn't just for me. It's also for you. You have responsibility. Are you just going to blindly follow accusations? Have you gone through the videos and listened? Have you heard me say anything that was, satanic or, going off and against the Bible and against the Most High? I can already tell you no. So then there must be some other motive that switched everything so quickly. That's what we're going to get into right now. There is a motive. See, Satan is always trying to keep you from finding your way back to the Father. Has that not been the case this entire time? How these churches, the abominable church was set up to do what? Don't read this. Don't study that. The priest will do this for you. The pastor will do this for you. If you go against what we say, you're going to hell. If you leave our church, you're going to hell. If you don't agree with things that we do, keep it to yourself. But if you bring it out, we're going to kick you out and you're going to go to hell. Fear tactics. That's what's been used the whole time. Now see, the Most High is moving me to get into some other books, our information that the enemy doesn't want you to hear, doesn't want you to reconnect with. All we're doing is reconnecting to the information that we had before. It is not new information. And just because they've taken our information and done evil things with it does not make the information evil. They've taken our records and they have done evil things with them. That does not make the information evil. We have to be able to trust the Most High. That's what he wants. He wants to see if you're going to trust him or if you're going to trust man. Man has been trying to control you this entire time and take away your trust of the Father. And he's doing the same thing all the way till today. So ultimately, like I said, everything is up to you. It's going to be dependent upon you. When you stand in front of the Most High, you're not standing in front of the Most High with a group. You're standing in front of the Most High as an individual. And he's going to make an account, have you make an account of the things that you've done. Did you do your due diligence? Did you study to show thyself approved? Did you work through the obstacle course to find your way back to the Father? Or did you wait for someone else to do all that for you? See, the church has taken everything from us. Everything. They took our information. They took our land. They took our resources. They've taken our heritage. They've taken absolutely everything and given it to themselves. So this awakening, we're going to have to trust the Most High and go into areas that maybe aren't as comfortable. And you're always going to have agents of the enemy that are going to try to stop you from finding your way back to the Father. That's just part of the plan. That's part of the course. Par for the course. Learn to expect it. Learn to expect it. So now let's take a look at the information. Let's just look at, please judge on the information that is being brought to you, not the accusations that are being brought against myself. If you can't find anything that I've done wrong, then you have to consider the source and consider the reasons as to why, they don't want you to look into these other books. All of this information is ours. Yes, it's been touched by the Gentiles, but so has your Bible. So all the same excuse you can say about, they've bastardized, they've changed things. Well, they changed things in the Bible too. They've changed things in the Book of Mormon. They've changed things in all the books. That's where trust in the Most High and discernment comes in. And I suggest that all of you read and study and use discernment and pray to the Most High for guidance and direction. Now let's get into this information. Baruch 4. Do you understand that we, our people, were the illuminated ones? When you talk about the Illuminati, whatever else, where do you think they got their information from? Where do you think they got the information that they use? Where do you think they got the rituals that they use? They always say, they're using, evil this and evil that. Well, they're hidden. So how do you know exactly what they do? They might show you some things, but we don't know exactly all the things that are going on behind the scenes. But now that you've got this information about how Moses was giving specific information that he only shared with a very few, those people would be considered illuminated. They have an illuminated understanding. Our people as a nation, we were above all the other nations. So we could be looked at as an illuminated nation. The Most High is working to give us that illumination back again. But you see how quickly, when we start to look for certain information, how quickly the tide has changed. How quickly, the attacks came. It's par for the course. When we talk about the earthly mother, having female attributes, that attacks came. Talk about the Book of Mormon, attacks came. Why would this be any different? But this time you got a chance to, you had to make a decision, because many of you are in the middle of it. You've heard this information. You said you accept this information. You accept how the Most High has brought it. You will follow the Most High wherever He leads you. But as soon as something comes up that might cause a little bit of strife, you run right back to Egypt. Check this out. This is what the Most High is bringing us back to. Take a look at Baruch 4, starting 1. This is the book of the commandments of God. Now remember, we did the video with Brother Zion Lex. Talk about commandments, teachings. Wasn't just commandments, it was also teachings. Okay? So this is the book of the commandments of God, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Now we can talk about, that could be your commandments, of course, but it could also be your teachings. If you forgot about that, go back and check out the videos. A couple of videos ago, maybe I can find which one it is and put it in the description box, where Brother Zion Lex really breaks it down and shows you that word is a cabal, could be translated as a Kabbalah, but it's more so like the teachings. These are our teachings. This is our information. Okay? Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Take hold of your what? Your information, your teachings, your traditions. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. So you must go back and grasp your information. It's not just the laws. And that was given, everyone have seen the laws, 613 laws. We've all seen that. There's also other information that illuminated our people. They gave us a higher standing. They gave us a higher level of information. So again, turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Now, they start to see that we're starting to look at books like the Kabbalah. We're looking at historical books. We're looking at books about the Illuminati and how these things work. Now we're getting into a different subject matter that really doesn't go exactly with the religious part of like the Bible only and everything else. And we start getting into other things, and trust me, the enemy sees this. And he's like, oh, no. We don't want them reconnecting to their traditions, to their hidden information. It's always, that's not your information. The Greeks did this. The Romans came up with that. The first historian, Herodotus, the first philosopher, this person, Pythagoras, first mathematician. See, they've taken all our information and given it to everybody else. So you would never get back to figuring out, like, hey, this is ours. This is not yours. I had a guy make a comment. The guy's name was Lee. And he made a comment about he started talking about the Celts. And he's like, well, Herodotus and the ancient Greeks. And I just shut him down and said, you know what? There's no such thing as ancient Greeks. Said Herodotus got his information from someone else. I don't need to learn about the Celts from the Greeks. Where is the information that the Celts had? So until you start to give us their original information, we're not going to settle for, Plato says this, Strabo says that. No, we don't need secondhand information. So if you're not going to give us the real information, we'll just make up our own. We'll go find other sources and we'll come up with our own information. We'll come up with our own ideas. You can say, "Oh, you're wrong." Well, I can say the same thing about you because you're not showing us the first editions. You're not showing us the information. So why do we have to take your word for it? This is how you have to trust the Most High, trust the Holy Spirit. Right here, turn the O Jacob and take hold of it. Take hold, not just your commandments, but take hold of your information, your traditions. Even though they've put them in places where it's taboo to go to, it's taboo because people are just going to attack you and make false accusations. But if you can, if you have thick skin, you can just move past the allegations, then you can continue. I said, if you can make allegations, that's fine. Show me proof. Show me where exactly I've gone off, or show me exactly where, I've taught bad things or horrible things to the nation. Because the way that I'm being attacked, you would think that, as the sister said, I'm doing some kinds of rituals. So I'm teaching people how to do, satanic rituals and things like that. So be very careful when you're making false accusations, because you're going to have to eventually, everyone's going to have to, be accountable for the things that they do and the things that they say. All of us are. So I am very careful with what I bring to the nation. There are plenty of things that I don't agree with that I'm not going to bring up. Until if the Most High shows me different and gives me understanding, that's one thing. But I will bring up information that, hey, maybe you want to check this out yourself. Maybe you want to look at this yourself. It's ultimately, everyone that has their own walk. Okay? So right there again. This is the book of the commandments of God and the law that endureth forever. Remember again, commandments can mean teachings. It was given to Moses. Okay? All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. So the ones who are going to come to this information, come to your traditions, you can live. The ones who just automatically just turn away from it, it sure tells you what can happen right here. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. So the world sees us getting ready to be illuminated once again. And they're fighting tooth and nail to keep us from doing that. Does that now kind of make more sense as to why all of a sudden the attacks just ramped up all of a sudden? No proof, just accusations. You be the judge. Illuminati unmasked. We're going to get into a little bit of information right now about this whole Illuminati and Illuminated and and where they got their information from. Where did the Illuminati? We understand the Gentiles don't have this kind of information. So where do they get it from? You're going to see an example of who they attribute it to. They're going to make, they're going to actually pretty much say, yeah, what Big Dude is saying is true. They're going to admit some things right here when they're writing. See, they never thought we would get into these books. They never thought we would get this understanding. Like the other book I had did the video on. Once you have the correct understanding, you can then go into many other books from many other lands, and you can find your story everywhere. You're going to find your story in some crazy books today. And I said, I didn't know exactly why the Most High was moving me to get some of these books. I said, but now it's all starting to come together. It's starting to come together. Most High, I was reading last night, and a brother, Jerome, sent me some information. He sent me some things to read, and I read it, and it kind of just went over my head because I think I was preoccupied reading something else. Most High woke me up at around 5 o'clock, said, you need to read this again. And I was taking pictures for another video, and I actually had to take pictures out from this video because there's so many. So I'm going to have to do other videos later on with other information. And this information that brother Jerome sent me, was absolutely perfect for the information that I'm going to bring out right now. It went hand in hand. I'm just like, Father, thank you. Thank you. I don't have to depend on someone to tell me how to interpret things. I thank the Most High that you are in charge and that you are the one who's going to get the glory for all the things that you do for me and for me to bring to the people. It has nothing to do with me. He's just been, I've learned now to trust the Most High. I learned to expect to be awakened in the middle of the night. I have my phone next to me so I can just start typing things out because I expect the Most High, because he's the one who's leading me. No man is leading me. No group of people is telling me what I can and can't do. I just trust that the Most High is going to give me what I need to bring to you. And as I always say, if it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, that's cool too. But always search out a matter. That's why I don't just tell you. I try my best to take pictures and to show you. We're trying to get our illumination back. Get our understanding back. Okay? I'm going to get into this right now. The sign language of the mysteries. Now, I've seen this movie. This book a few times. I'm like, this doesn't seem very interesting. You know, this doesn't seem like something for Israel. This just doesn't really see anything. And the book was hell of expensive. So I was like, nah, yeah, no. I mean, I've seen this book for at least a couple months. I was like, yeah, nah. But then Most High kept on bringing it up to me and kept on showing it to me. And eventually I saw a little clip. I read a little. I was like, you know what? There's meat in that. There's meat in this. And then the books came, and I read through it a little bit here and there and things like that. I said, but last night, I hadn't really wanted to bring too much of this out just yet. I was kind of waiting for the perfect time. I took a couple of the pictures, and then Brother Jerome sent me that information. I was like, okay, Most High, you want this out. So I'm bringing it out tonight. Okay, so the sign language of the mysteries. All right. It's talking about these certain signs that are like in pictures, or you would say like in paintings and in statues, carved on the wall and things like that. And these hand motions have certain meanings. Okay, and we're going to show you a couple of the pictures, but these are certain signs that they would probably use in secret societies. See, the initiated can see these pictures and these hand signs, and they know what they mean. The vast majority of the world has no idea. They just think, oh, you know, that's a pretty picture. That's nice. But there's actually hidden signs in these pictures, in these statues. Okay? So let's start here. It goes, it will be necessary in the special chapter we shall devote to this sign to go more fully into the matter. And therefore, we will now turn to another important variant of it, which shows how, by combination with another, these are kind of like secret combinations, okay? With another, a sign can acquire a fuller meaning. It is quite usual to find our Lord depicted making this sign, as in the fresco of him preaching to the doctors, painted at St. Ambrose, Milan, and reproduced opposite page 10, where it implies that the boy Christ is preaching the way of salvation or preservation. Often, however, he is depicted in this attitude, but with the third and fourth fingers closed on the palm of the hand. Now they can make little variations and stuff like that, and that's okay, but it's still the same meaning is still going, it's still applied, okay? To give the further implication of blessing, okay? The import of this attitude would therefore be that our Lord assured those who turned to him that he would preserve them, okay? For the combined sign signifies that the blessing implies the promise of preservation. And this is a sign of preservation that you're going to be seeing in a minute. Now it says, let us now show that this sign stretches back to a very early date in the history. This is the main part right here. Okay, in the history of the world, and is carried down to the present day by a regular sequence. Which done, okay, we must next prove that it is found all over the world, and that examples of its use exist in Europe, Asia, Africa, and America. Having thus established its widespread nature and ancient traditions, we can turn to consider others of equal antiquity and worldwide use. Now This is the kicker right here. Check this part out. Although, as we shall see later, there is good reason to believe that the primitive races who in point of archaeology preceded the ancient civilization in Egypt used this sign. Nevertheless, we must be content with Egypt as our starting point because its monuments can be dated with considerable exactitude. So they know that these signs, these secret signs, were actually in ancient places, ancient civilizations. But we're not going to talk about those ancient civilizations. We're not going to give them credit for coming up with these ancient signs. You're just going to have to pretty much start at Egypt and go from there, just because we need to be able to date things. So I'm going to take the original people's, information, the ways they did things, their culture, and I'm going to attribute it to Egypt. Just like we talked about in the Irish Wisdom book, how they took all this information from the Celts and they said, oh, well, this started with Egypt. Oh, this started with Greece. Oh, this started with the ancient Romans. This is huge because you're going to see these signs. And I'm going to show you some pictures, okay? So these guys are telling you, yeah, this stuff didn't start with Egypt, but we're going to give them credit anyways. So now when you hear about, oh, Pythagoras was initiated into these secret schools and this information in Egypt, well, we know that Egypt didn't have this information. They got it from somewhere else. This is huge. These are the kinds of things they don't want you to understand. These kinds of things will illuminate you. They will then illuminate your minds, okay? Because then you will be like, hold on, I don't want to hear crap about Egypt. I don't want to hear crap about Rome and Greece. Every time they try to come on the channel and say, oh, but the ancient Romans, oh, who cares? They're nobody. Who are the people that have their information originally? Don't give me ancient Greeks. Don't give me Pythagoras. Don't give me Plato. Don't give me any of that garbage. Who did they get the stuff from originally? That usually stops the conversation right there. Because they have no comeback. They have no proof. But then you can show them something like this. Read it again. Although, as we shall see later, there is good reason to believe that the primitive races, who in point of archaeology preceded the ancient civilization in Egypt, used this sign. Nevertheless, we must be content with Egypt as our starting point, because its monuments can be dated with considerable exactitude. So it's not the truth, but you guys are just going to have to accept it. Now, when you understand this concept, now you understand when they talk about the secret societies and these ancient societies that have been here forever. You start reading the other book that I talked about, the secret societies. They were talking about all these places started in the 1700s. They weren't around forever. A lot of these places started in 16, 17, 1800s. A lot of these lodges, they weren't here forever. These secret signs that they use, they came from an ancient civilization before the Egyptians. Now that connects with the Most High giving our people this information, downloading it to Adam, to Noah, to Moses, to Abraham, Enoch, right? Our posterity. And then they got their hands on it. And then they erased us out of history and said, you know what? We're just going to start with Egypt. We're just going to start with there, And then all the Greeks went to Egypt and, I would say the Greeks get it, and the Romans. So now you're starting to see. Now you see why people don't want you getting into these other books. Because then the BS starts to fall apart. You're looking at them as they being the illuminated ones and the smart ones and the ones that have all this secret information. You start to realize, well, hold on. You didn't have this information. Who did you get it from? Who are the true illuminated people? This is where the Most High is working to bring his people. He's bringing the ones that are trusting him. If you're so trusted in a man to lead you, this isn't for you then. He's trying to get the ones who are going to trust in him. I don't tell you to trust in Big Judah, to trust in the things that I say. I tell you to trust in the Most High. I tell you to study for yourself. I tell you to pray to him to bring you the information and the understanding that he wants to give you. I don't try to scare you into following the things that I say. I don't try to threaten you to listen to me or this is going to happen to you. It's a very dangerous position to hold because now you are holding back other people, and you're holding back their potential, and you're holding other people back from their walk. But that's what the churches have been wanting to do. Then they've been successful in keeping us from finding our way back to the Father. They've been really good at us not, being able to compete or, to actually participate in our own walks because we've been too scared to. And now the Father has been working for years to break us of that, that noose around your neck. And so many people just wanted to run right back to it at the first signs of trouble. And they weren't really signs of trouble. They were just accusations. So this is huge. Now, check it out. This is the sign of preservation right here. Got like a right hand, like on over your chest, and then your left arm kind of makes like a squared motion. Now, sometimes they can make little variations, but this would be the sign of preservation that they would put in art. Kind of like, if you trust in this, supposed to be like Jesus Christ here, you will be preserved. So there's more information that's, going through, and we'll get into more of this. As I continue to read and study, I'll bring out more of this information. But now you're going to see it in the artwork. And this artwork is telling you that when you see these things now, you're going to see like, hold on, this is from an ancient society. What ancient society did you guys copy this from? It isn't from Egypt, just because now you saw that. You saw how they said, well, we're going to start here. Even though we know it wasn't them, we're going to start here. And right here, you look at the bottom, you kind of see the arms right there, kind of squared. And those are like kinds of other signs of preservation right there. Like I said, sometimes the left arm can do different things, I said, but you're going to see it in this artwork. They put it in the artwork all over the place. But this is huge. This is going to go with what Brother Jerome shared with me. This is Quetzalcoatl making the same gesture. See his right hand like over his torso area. Left arm right there with the squared motion right there. It says Quetzalcoatl with corn in his hair is wounded in the foot. So he's wounded and he wants to be preserved. So he's making that, that sign of preservation after he got wounded. So he's praying to the Father, asking the Father to preserve him in his time of need. But this goes all the way back now to Quetzalcoatl. These are like, pictures or stone statues representing these things. And of course, they've always tried to make it seem as if like, the buildings and everything over here was like way before, way after Egypt. Egypt was the first, but we're not taking that. We're not taking their numbers and their dates and stuff like that. Here's another one. The preserver, Quetzalcoatl, who is making this sign at the monument right there, that he is being wounded in the foot by a spear wielded by the giant. And he just kind of changed the motion, kind of like facing down. You got the preserver right there. You got that. So you start to see these signs in these statues, in these pictures. So they're not just making random motions with their arms. Okay? So this is just kind of like sets the tone for the other things we're going to get into right now. Okay? So just so you understand that they took the information, they took these, these things, these signs from an ancient civilization, gave the credit to Egypt, and then that's it. But they must have been crazy when they got over here to the Americas and saw all these signs over here. When they thought that it was just the so-called Egyptians that came up with all this stuff, and they started to see it all over the place when they got here. You're like, how in the hell did this happen? How in the hell is all? So it's like, it wasn't just the Christian doctrine that they got over here. They thought they were bringing, that they were, the first with, but they came over here and they realized that, oh my God, they got all this stuff. We're way more advanced. Where'd they get this information from? They knew about the secret societies. They knew about the secret information that was handed down from, generation to generation, but it was only handed down to the Hebrews. They knew about that. They just knew they couldn't get it until the Most High let them have it. So this is the brother right here. So he sent me this information last night. We're going to read some of it right now. Brother Jerome, thank you again for sharing this with us. He's always sharing great information. Sacred mysteries among the Mayas and the Quiches. Okay, 11,500 years ago, their relation to the sacred mysteries of Egypt, Greece, Chaldees, and India, Freemasonry, and times interior, okay, to the Temple of Solomon, Freemasonry. So see, they've taken Freemasons and made it seem as if they're the builders. They were the ones that came up with all this information. It wasn't them. They just took the information and applied it to themselves. Let's see. Only 2 edifices of different construction have been found among the ancient cities of the Mayas. One, now completely ruined, having been shattered by a thunderbolt in 1848, was in Mayapan. That place was destroyed, according to Bishop Landa, in the year 1446 of the Christian era, by the lords and nobles of the country, to put an end to the dynasty of the Cacomis that governed with tyrannical rule. The other, still standing, although much injured by the action of time and vegetation, is to be seen in the most ancient city of Chichen. These buildings were consecrated to the study of astronomy, no doubt also to the performance of certain religious ceremonies connected with the worship of the sun, moon, and other celestial bodies. Now, again, who was given this information about astronomy? That was hidden information given to Moses and handed on down to his people. So these guys have, astronomical places to study astronomy, so we know where they got that information from. It wasn't from Egypt. It wasn't from the Gentiles. Okay? They were circular. Their ground plan formed 3 concentric circles representing the zodiac, and their vertical section, in its general outlines, conveys to the mind that in their inward or esoteric construction, okay, a construction for a small group of people who's going to understand this stuff. Esoteric. That's our history. It is not something to be scared of or afraid of or is evil, as they've made you feel like. Okay? Inward or esoteric construction, placed before the eyes of the masses, yet hidden from them, the architect wished to represent the figure of the mastodon. So you got things that are presented to the whole world, and you got things that are for a certain group of people, which was venerated by the people as image of deity on earth. Probably because this Pachyrdom was the largest and most powerful creature that lived in the land. Among the ornaments which beautified one of the 7 turrets that adorned the south facade, okay, of the north wing of the ancient palace of King Khan. Make sure that one. All right, make sure I'm in the right place here. And were dedicated to each of the 7 members composing his family. Okay, on that set apart to commemorate the name of his eldest son, K, or Fish, the High Pontiff, are seen these symbols. My knowledge of the symbols and sacred characters used by the learned priests of Mayaks and the mural inscriptions and ornaments of these temples and palaces enables me to understand their exoteric meaning. Again, the exoterics is the meaning that everybody else is going to get. The world's going to get this exoteric understanding. The first is composed of an equilateral triangle with the apex downward. Through it passes a ribbon tied in a knot. The triangle seems here to represent the whole country, the lands of the West, composed of 3 great continents, North and South America, and today, and the great island called Atlantis by Plato, that disappeared in the midst of an awful cataclysm under the waves of the ocean, and described by the author of the Trino MS, okay, who thus confirms the account of it given by the priests of Egypt to Solon. The ribbon tied in a knot would indicate that. Well, I got to stop it right there, actually. Okay, I'm checking my stuff here. So the main thing here is that we can continue this on another time with some more of this information. Actually, the brother actually had to send me some of this information. We're going to stop it right there. But you got these exoteric understandings of these things. and you got an esoteric thing going on also. So a lot of people get the exoteric understandings of things and think that they've got it all. But there's hidden understandings, hidden meanings that many are not aware of, and are hidden. And that's the thing. Many people think that they got the exoteric. Oh, I got the Bible. I got this information. That's all there is. I'm good. I got it all. But there's hidden understandings all over the place. Things that, were not made for public consumption. So let's skip over here, page 60. We're going to start with Pythagoras right here. Pythagoras, who had received his knowledge of the numbers and their meaning from the Egyptians, taught his disciples that God was number and harmony. He caused them to honor numbers and geometric diagrams with the names of the gods. The Egyptians likened nature to the equilateral triangle, okay, the most perfect and beautiful of all triangles, and according to Servius, assigned the perfect number 3 to the great god. So here you go right here. You got Pythagoras going to the Egyptians and getting his information from the Egyptians, and then they're just pretty much acting, oh yeah, the Egyptians had this information and that's where he got it from, and they're just totally X'd out the originators of all this information. Now you got a great example of that right here. Pythagoras, who received his knowledge of the numbers and their meaning from the Egyptians. Where the Egyptians get it from? We already know. So see, they held them up as being these illuminated people that we just copied everything from and passed down, and they just showed you that they did not have all this information. They got it from somewhere else. But because we could date things from their time, we'll just use them. How convenient. So the Chaldees symbolized the Usaf, or great light, by an equilateral triangle. And in the Sri Santara, or cosmogonical diagram of the Hindus, which has served as model for many of their temples, the nameless, the great Aun that dwells in the infinite, is figured as an equilateral triangle. So that equilateral triangle goes back to who? The Mayas. This triangle goes back to the Mayas, and they're just kind of copying it and saying that it's theirs, saying, "Oh yeah, we know, yeah, this is what we do. This is what we do. Yeah, right, okay." So we're gonna start right here. We're gonna start at the bottom here, page 20. Okay. I will now quote from the book of Enoch. Okay. I saw a spacious habitation built with stones of crystal. The roof had the appearance of agitating stars and flashes of lightning. Flames burnt around its walls. Its portals blazed with fire. This dwelling was hot as fire, cold as ice. They raised me up into a certain place where there was the appearance of burning fire. And when they pleased, they assumed the likeness of men. And I beheld the receptacles of light and of thunder at the extremities of the place. There was a bow and of fire and arrows in their quiver, a sword of fire and every species of lightning. Then I passed to another terrific place, where I beheld the operation of a great fire blazing and glittering in the midst of which there was a division. Columns of fire struggled together to the end of the abyss, and deep was their descent. This was the place of suffering. Those who resisted to the last, the trials of the autopsia, as the initiation was called, were then dismissed with these 3 words, konox mpan, which, strange to say, have no meaning in the Greek language. Okay, so you can't even translate it into Greek. Captain Wilford, in his essay on Egypt, says they correspond to the words Kancha Om Pancha, which the Brahmins pronounce every day to announce to the devotees that the religious ceremonies are over. They have been translated retire or retire profane, corresponding to the et missa est of the Catholic Church. These words are not Sanskrit, but Maya. Okay, kon ex, oman, panex, go stranger, scatter, are vocables of the language of the ancient inhabitants of Yucatan, still spoken by their descendants, the Aborigines of that country. So see, they're getting all this information from when it came over here. They got, and then they take it like it's theirs. But they're not the originators of this information. So they were probably used by the priests of the temples, whose sumptuous and awe-inspiring ruins I have studied for during 14 years to dismiss the members of their mystic societies, among which we find the same symbols that are seen even today in the temples of Egypt, as in the lodges. So right there. So in their lodges, they have these certain things. They have these images and they have these same symbols in these lodges. And it makes sense like it went back to Egypt, but it went back to another secret society that they don't want to admit. It went back to an ancient civilization that they don't want to give credit to. It says, I will endeavor to show you that the ancient sacred mysteries, the origin of Freemasonry, consequently date back from a period far more remote than the most sanguine students of its history ever imagined. I will try to trace their origin, step by step, to this continent which we inhabit, to America, from where Maya colonists transported their ancient religious rites and ceremonies, not only to the banks of the Nile, but to those of the Euphrates and the shores of the Indian Ocean, not less than 11,500 years ago. But let us return to the mysteries of Eleusis and the trials to which the Mitzvah were subjected. To try their fitness to become Ephori Masons, no doubt recognized several of the ceremonies that took place. We'll stop it right there. So you see, like I said, these secret societies and this stuff like that, these illuminated people, the Illuminati and all this other stuff, they got that whole concept from our people. So now as we try to go into some of these books, now you understand why we get attacked. Because they don't want you to bring the fact out that this information that they've been copying and they've taken as theirs is actually ours. And the clues, the Most High will lead you to, if you trust him. He will lead you to the clues and bring this information and this understanding out. So these things that they have, shown you as evil, they made evil. They made signs evil. They made this information evil. But originally, it was ours, and it was used for good. And does it not make sense that the Most High would return this, restore this information to us? But the other nations are going to work as hard as they can to keep you away from it. They're not going to, talk about the information, but they're going to attack the messenger. They're going to try to attack the messenger, and they're going to try to, damage the messenger's, damage who he is, damage, what he's bringing out, make it seem as if he's just the worst person ever. That's what they always do, attack the character, but never the information. Never do they show you, okay, well, these are the things he said. These are the things he brought up. You don't hear that. You just get the whole attack the messenger. Same bit, same thing they've always done. Nothing new. ISIS unveiled. I'm not sure if I'm going to this right now. Let me see here. Yeah, sorry, I meant to take that one off. Archaeology and the Book of Mormon. We did a little bit of this yesterday. I just wanted to show you a little something. Just talking about the Mayas. They had this hidden, secret information. We understand that it was downloaded to Abraham. And it was passed down to the posterity. So when you see these places in these observatories, that right there is all the proof that you need that they had the secret information. They had the hidden information, as you would say, the Kabbalic information. The Maya priest astrologers plotted the courses of the planets, including dim and elusive Mercury. So accurate were the measurements of those ancient Maya astronomers that they differ only slightly in degrees and minutes from those of our present day astronomers, aided by powerful telescopes and advanced mathematical formulas. They were fully aware of the 365 and a quarter day year and developed a calendar and an 18-month year of 20 days each, plus a 5-day week at the end of each year, to take care of the remaining 1/4 day. they made corrections for leap year at convenient intervals. This they computed and put into daily practice long before the Julian calendar was adopted in Rome, and in consequence, centuries before Pope Gregory XIII called for a conference in 1582 when our present day calendar was created. 1582, so they'd already been over here for almost 100 years, grabbing our information, and then they finally got their calendar right. But this information was the hidden information, the stuff that was downloaded to Moses that he only shared with a few people. The old Mayan astronomers didn't stop with their observations of the movements of the sun, the moon, and the 5 known planets, but compiled tables of lunar eclipses and predicted these with astounding accuracy. In his most recent book, The Rise and Fall of Maya Civilization, Dr. J. Eric S. Thompson discussed at considerable length the astronomical knowledge attained by the Mayans. He declared that it was a great intellectual achievement for the Maya priest astronomers to construct a table for predicting when solar eclipses would be visible. He, like most writers, gives the Mayas full credit for the complete development of all their astronomical knowledge. However, it may be possible that they inherited many ideas from their ancestors, the ancient Israelites. Well, of course, they got this information from the Israelites because they understand that that's who it was given to. Right there's the example right there. The Caracol, or observatory at Chichen Itza, Yucatan, Mexico. The ancient Hebrew prophets attained a profound knowledge of the stars and planets by direct revelation from heaven. For example, the Lord appeared to Abraham and gave him power to look into space, as if he were using a modern telescope. The Lord showed Abraham a marvelous vision of the numerous works he had created and explained the various heavenly bodies at which Abraham was looking. The ancient prophet wrote, I saw the stars, but they were very great, and they multiplied mine eyes, and I could not see the end thereof. The Lord explained to the ancient patriarch the times, seasons, and the laws which govern the solar system. The knowledge of astronomy received by Father Abraham and recorded for his posterity is in complete agreement with modern astronomical science. So you guys had to wait way longer, thousands of years later, in order for you guys to be able to catch up. Moses also received revelations from the Lord regarding astronomy and a vision of the heavenly bodies, God's creations, okay, similar to those received by Abraham. In the scriptures, these ancient Hebrew patriarchs handed down their knowledge of astronomy to their posterity. There you go. The Nephites brought the Hebrew scriptures with them from the holy city, okay, to the new world. Your Kabbalah, your secret information, your traditions that the Most High now, like it's talked about in Baruch, is trying to give back to you. And many are saying, no, I don't want that. I'm good with what you already gave me. I got enough Bible already. No thanks. I trust man. I don't trust you. So as you can see, we're all being tested. And who are you going to put your trust in? That's what's going on right now. We talked about this before. I just want to make sure I kind of put it out so people, if they haven't seen the other videos, they can see this information for themselves. At the bottom there, the Kabbalah was first taught by the Most High himself to a select company of angels who formed a theosophic school in paradise. After the fall of the angels, most graciously communicated this heavenly doctrine to the disobedient child of earth. That would be Adam, huh? To furnish the protoplast with a means of returning to their pristine nobility and felicity. From Abraham, it passed over to Noah, and then to Abraham, okay, the friend of the Most High, who immigrated with it to Egypt, where the patriarch allowed a portion of this mysterious doctrine to ooze out. It was in this way that the Egyptians obtained some knowledge of it, and that other Eastern nations could introduce it into their philosophical systems. Moses, who was learned in all the wisdom of Egypt, was first initiated into the Kabbalah in the land of his birth, Egypt, right? But so they already had a little bit of they got a little bit of the information, right? So in order for him to get the rest of it, that's what the other 40 years represented when he was out in the wilderness. Now the Most High, we're in our wilderness, and the Most High is trying to give it back to our people. He's trying to download this information to our people, and you got a lot of them who are saying, no, you don't need that. Don't look at that. I got this for you. If you look at it, you're going to go to hell. If you think for yourself, you're going to go to hell. You should be getting it by now. What's going on? Okay, but became most proficient in it during his wanderings in the wilderness, when he not only devoted to it the leisure hours of the whole 40 years, but received lessons in it from one of the angels. By the aid of this mysterious science, the lawgiver was enabled to solve the difficulties which arose during his management of the Israelites, in spite of the pilgrimages, wars, and frequent miseries of the nation. He covertly laid down the principles of this secret doctrine in the first 4 books of the Pentateuch, which but withheld them from Deuteronomy. So, like I said, you're going to get your exoteric understanding. You're going to get the one from everyone's going to be able to get the exoteric. Everyone's going to be able to get it. Everyone's going to see the first 5 books, and they're going to read it and think that they understand everything. But the esoteric, the hidden stuff, those are the things that were given to, his 70 people that he gave it information to. They're going to see something. They're going to see more in these books that the vast majority of people will not see. That's why it's it's a dangerous thing to say you got everything and you understand everything, because you don't even understand that there's a hidden, esoteric understandings in our scriptures. Moses also initiated the 70 elders into the secrets of this doctrine, and they again transmitted them from hand to hand. Of all, who formed the unbroken line of tradition, David and Solomon were the most deeply initiated into the Kabbalah. Okay, so let's continue. Christ in America. I'll read a little bit here at the top here. Okay, just talking about how when you know what to look for, you can see the clues. Okay, about how the natives had this secret information. It says, but above all their earnestness and their accuracy, evinced by their conformity with the general traditions of enlightened mankind, and the conclusions of modern science, are proof sufficient that the remote ancestors of these tribes had attained a much higher degree of civilization than that of their fallen posterity, and that they had lived at no great distance from the biblical patriarch, who had preserved incorrupt the memory of man's primordial history. That would be like the early history. I forgot the definition up here in a minute. And the truths of the primeval divine revelation. So there was some primeval divine revelation. There was a divine revelation revealing, given a very long time ago. Who was getting that primeval divine revelation? Adam got it. Enoch got it. Right? Moses got it. Abraham, Moses got it. Right? And then David got it. Solomon got it because they were deep into it. So that's what we're talking about. That, right here, the incorrupt, who had preserved incorrupt the memory of man's primordial history, very ancient history, and the truths of primeval divine revelation. There was a divine revelation, a revelation from the Most High. He gave the understanding. They all understand this, what's going on right here. And you can read the rest of that on your own to kind of see what you guys can find. But when you know what to look for, you can see it. You can see them talking about these divine revelations from a long time ago and this great information that these people had. What part? So, let's see. Conclusions of modern science are proof sufficient that the remote ancestors of these tribes had attained a much higher degree of civilization than that of their fallen posterity. How did they get this, great understanding? Because it was downloaded to them. It was given to their posterity. It was given by the Most High to these people. And that's why the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the things that you see. And the Most High is now working to, give us this understanding back. Get us to get closer to Him. Give us the spiritual understandings, the esoteric understandings. He's working to give us that back. But the enemy doesn't want you to get that. Primordial. Existing at or from the beginning of time. Primeval. So this stuff at the beginning of time. So you see primeval right there. Beginning of time. So again, so you get at the bottom of that first paragraph. Memory of man's primordial history and the truths of primeval divine revelation. At the beginning of time, there was a revelation that happened at the beginning of time. There's a revelation that happened to Adam. And that's what this is referring to right there. He was the first to get that download. So again, this is the book of the commandments of the Most High, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. When we lost our understanding, we lost our information, we lost that connection, and we died. We went from being the head to the tail. We went from being blessed to cursed. And then they took our information, and all of a sudden they went from being the tails to the heads. And they don't want us to reclaim that information, because once we reclaim our understanding, reclaim our information, reclaim our traditions, reclaim our heritage, we're going from the tail to the head again. And they're moving from the head to the tail. And they're fighting tooth and nail to not have that happen. And how do they do that? By keeping you out of your books, keeping you out of your tradition and your heritage. You getting it? You get that understanding of what's going on now. We're going to take a look at a little something from the sealed portion, just so you kind of understand what's going on right now. From the sealed portion right here. But ye shall not know of their secret. Actually, let's start at 7. Let's start right there at 7. And ye shall think that they are righteous and good and honorable men of the earth, because of their success and their power that ye have given unto them. But ye shall not know of their secret combinations, which they have established among them to maintain control over your hearts and your minds. There are some people in this world that have secret combinations to maintain control over your hearts and your minds, to not let you go on your walk on your own, to not let you go through the obstacle course and find your way back to the Most High. There are people that are like that. There are people that are set up for that. And like sheep who have lost their way, ye shall follow these wolves, who are dressed in the skins of sheep, so that they might not be discovered among the flock, and ye shall follow them to your own destruction. Everyone has to make decisions. Everyone has to make a decision as to what it is you're going to do. Are you going to follow the Most High, or are you going to follow man? You have a responsibility. Everyone, all of us have a responsibility to study, to show thyself approved. Follow the Most High. Follow the things that he's shown you over these last few years. He's shown you that if you trust him, he will lead you. Many want to think that they want that security blanket. They want that security that, hey, I'm doing everything right. I'm good. If I do this, I'm good. I trust in the Most High. Don't trust me. I'm nothing but a man. Trust our Father, that he says the things he says he will do, that he will do for us. You can see him as he's turned his face to us. He's reestablishing us again as a people. And it's an absolutely beautiful thing. And I thank the Most High for that. It's absolutely beautiful. To live in these times and have the understanding that we do is an absolute blessing. Thank you, Father. All praise is to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.